What's up, everybody? We are back at Around the Mat Pod, and I'm your host, PJ North, and it's just me today. So we're going to talk all things wrestling this week, and a lot of things going on, obviously. Just a lot of craziness, I believe. A lot of nuts things in the news, and maybe I just feel a certain way today about a lot of certain things. So we'll see. But before we do that, if you're watching live on Twitch, let me know. I got the chat room up. So thank you for checking us out live on Twitch, man. Hit that follow button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. It's super easy. Helps me out. And, helps the channel out. We love to talk about wrestling, get more guests on, have more people join us and talk a little wrestling. If you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, don't forget to hit that 5-star, that 1-star review, share with your friends, share on social media, all that stuff. If you are on the socials, hit us with that follow at AroundTheMatPod on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. We're out there everywhere. So make sure you follow us there. A lot of things to be said this week about wrestling, man, and I'm going to go off on a tangent. I can already feel it because I'm alone, right? I've had my time to think about it, but I've seen just a lot of things on Twitter, man, and it's Twitter fodder, which is really hard. I got to, unfollow and not even unfollow, but I have to, remove people from my feed. But before I get into all that, I want to talk about some things that I do love, some things that, man, I'm super pumped about. Wrestling, obviously, and the things that I do love. I think I'm excited about Crown Jewel. I think it's an interesting turn. I'm excited about AEW, the stuff that they're doing with the Blackpool Combat Club. I wish that they would change the name just because they're no longer the Blackpool Combat Club. But I really enjoyed what they're doing there with that. I love the stuff that New Japan's really on a new trek with Zack Sabre, TNA right now. A lot of things, man, a lot of great things in wrestling, and it's the wrestling part that's really great. It's the other stuff right now, I think, that kind of sucks. Just like people constantly complaining about something that they love is crazy. And my only thing is creative is subjective to a certain extent, right? So as creative is subjective, we'll get into that. And I'm just happy that we're having wrestling. Wrestling is popping right now. Everybody's into wrestling. WrestleMania tickets went on sale today. If you were lucky enough to get them, I saw some crazy prices. I unfortunately am going to miss WrestleMania this year, man. Personal life just gets in the way and things happening and a lot of positive things happening, positive movements, but going to skip WrestleMania this year live in Vegas, which is difficult because I love Vegas. So that's a sad moment. But all that to be said, I've heard some crazy numbers of ticket prices and ticket fees and all that stuff, and it's outlandish. And I asked a question today, is it TKO causing that, or is it because of Vegas? And I think that we narrowed it down that it is TKO's approach to selling tickets and their way to draw money. And obviously WrestleMania is going to have its largest gate ever. Well, that helps when prices are 30 to 40% higher than they've ever been. Just crazy prices. So that's the one negative about wrestling being so cool. Everything's kind of expensive right now to go see it, but still, other things that I love right now, go check out the Juice Box, man. I'm talking to Juice Springsteen this week. He's got a podcast this week where he's doing a watch along with Halloween Havoc. So that's kind of fun, man. The Juice Box is great. Other things that I love, there's a lot of custom art people on Instagram that I follow. Check out the people that we follow on Instagram. There's some really cool ones. CRTV Wrestling, Hal Haney Art, In-Ring Art. There's a bunch of stuff on there, man. They're just really, there's a customs guy. I can't remember his Instagram right now off the top of my head, but he does custom elite figures and they're electric. I saw his Great Muta today, which I thought was amazing because obviously I'm waiting for the WWE ones to come out. I wanted to get the Bandai one. I've got some of the old ones, but a lot of cool stuff that I love about wrestling, man. There's shirts that are out right now, customs, and Matt Botfin and the stuff that he does, mid-card merch, the stuff that they do, stash pages, the stuff that they do. So many cool wrestling things. Fig Heel, Fig Vault. So many great things about wrestling in the community. The one thing that sucks, and it's just like anything, and I'm sure in any community of things that you love, there's so much bad, right? And before I get into the headlines, one thing I just witnessed was Dave Meltzer trying to tell somebody that he would be a great NFL reporter if he wasn't doing wrestling. Well, you're not a reporter. You don't report on wrestling. You make up fictional stories based on things that someone told you secondhand sometimes. And I just hate that. And I think for all things considered, yeah, we all love the backstage press and we love the things talking about, everybody loves the behind the, they want to know what's behind the scenes, what's behind the curtain, but I don't need to know how a magician does his magic trick. I just enjoy the magic, I guess, at that point. So for lack of a better term, I don't really like magic, but you get my point. It's crazy to think about. So there's other people on there. I saw some guy who's just like, I think it's at This Is Nasty, and this dude is just his entire feed is just him shitting on AEW, the entire feed. But he's like calls himself like a wrestling reporter. He's like he has like articles in Forbes and other stuff. He's a freelancer, and I was just like, y'all let this guy write? Like, that's not even like journalism. You can have an opinion. It could be an op-ed piece if you want it to be, but it's not journalism if your feedback is biased one way. I saw other thing last week with the Pierce Morgan thing, and he had just a bunch of random people who don't work for WWE anymore talking about Vince McMahon documentary and all this stuff, and Mushnak and all those people. And I can't believe I ever agreed with Vince Russo, but he was like, he's like, okay, I'll call you a liar. And I was just like, man, there's so much hate around pro wrestling. And I realized that on this podcast, I probably do that too, because there's some things that I obviously don't like, but that's creative. I'm not telling them how to do it better. I'm giving my opinion. I'm not calling it truth. I'm also not shitting on everything and saying that they should change all of it. Yes, there's some stuff I think that sucks, but it's not for me. It's for everybody, and someone else might like it. And that's okay too, but some of these people's opinions, including JD from NY, man, and I'm just going off here because I do believe I've been in the music industry where it is cutthroat and everybody has an opinion about everybody's music, right? Every single person has an opinion about the music that you're hearing. And so I feel like I can speak on this. This dude has a platform. He has followers. And he's just off the rails because that draws money, right? That in his mind, he's like, I'm over. Yo, man, just relax. Take a breather. Just chill a little bit. And maybe don't be a piece of shit. I don't know. That's kind of my thought behind the whole thing. Just like the utter chaos that ensues on Twitter. Twitter is a cesspool of it's great information. There's great memes. The internet is undefeated, but there's also a dark side anytime you have something so positive. So I guess that just is what it is. What do you do? But anyways, let's get into the headlines, man. Last week of wrestling, like I said, has been kind of crazy. So kicking it off first, the biggest news to me, Samantha Irvin leaving the WWE. I don't know what happened. It doesn't matter. She left, right? And she noted months. She gave months notice. She wanted to do this, and good for her, man. She wanted to spend more time with her daughter. Obviously, her husband works in AEW now. That probably takes a little bit away from that. Or not her husband, her fiance. And so that she wants some time. But she also wants to work on her music and do some other things that she's interested in. And good for her, man. I quit a job last year to pursue music full-time one last time, and I didn't have a third of the talent that she has. So I look forward to seeing what she does, man. I know she's not done with wrestling, or at least announcing in general, ring announcing. She is incredible. I thought she was a really, really huge star within WWE. She elevated. She didn't take away from the competitors. She wasn't making it about her, but she really elevated that. And I don't think WWE has that in the other two backup announcers right now. I don't know what, we'll see what happens. But I thought she just elevated. I thought she was really, really great. And as an announcer, I've done that. It is extremely difficult to be good and make it unique for every wrestler and be creative and people enjoy it. And she did a great job. So she is going to be missed, especially by me. And I would love to see her back in a wrestling ring, sooner than later and see what happens. Filling in, obviously, Lillian Garcia is not for me. That's not my thing. I wasn't a huge fan back in the day. She's exceptional talent, but not. It's just not my enjoyment, right? I just didn't enjoy it. So we'll see what happens when they fill in. Maybe they're taking auditions. We'll see. I'll ask around. But huge loss for WWE. Other news, Motor City Machine Guns. Shout out to the Mitten. Man, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley have been doing it a long time. I've been fans of them since the first time I saw Future Shock on TNA Wrestling. Chris Sabin used to do that. I think it was kind of like a package, kind of like a fisherman package buster. It was crazy. Great X Division wrestler, great world champion. Alex Shelley, of course, obviously the Time Splitters. He was incredible with Kushida. Is a great tag team wrestler, great singles wrestler. So I'm excited to see them. And in WWE, obviously, they were going to get to go over, so that made sense. And we're excited to see what happens this week when they take on. I don't even remember who they take on now. That's how rough SmackDown has been for me. But yeah, Motor City Machine Guns. Super excited about them being there. Like I said, I think they're great too. So glad that they didn't end up in NXT. Another note, another headline. Bobby Lashley thinks Karrion Kross should be a world champion in WWE. I don't necessarily disagree with Bobby Lashley in the sense of intangibles. I think Karrion Kross is exceptional. I saw him as Killer Kross in TNA. I thought he really had a good gimmick in Mexico, like when he was doing that thing. Obviously, him and Scarlett are super over in NXT. I think he is straddled. And maybe it's his idea, but I think that the Testament is bad. They don't have any juice. They don't have any momentum. People aren't super into it. Their intro was cool at first. Now it's overdone. I don't know. We'll see where it goes, but I agree, man. Bobby Lashley, I think Karrion Kross should get a run at least at the top for a few. You see what he does. See if you can get him over. I don't know. Obviously, he can talk. His backstage vignette stuff is cool, but I just think they got to do away with the Testament. I think that's it's just too many people, too many things going on. Two managers in a faction is tough. I don't know that I've ever seen it really work. They tried it with Harlem Heat. Remember that? Sherry and gosh, man, I'm losing my mind. I'm having a rough day here. And gosh, I don't know. You know who I'm talking about. Anyways. Yeah, crazy. So Bobby Lashley with some pretty good feedback. Another headline, wrestlers and politicians. And tell me, I'm not political at all. I think politicians are scumbags. That just is what it is. They're selling you bullshit on TV. They allow propaganda to be spewed on TV, like ads that attack the other person, and not a single person has I've not seen a single commercial where it tells you what they're actually running on. At our gym, they play all the TV stations, right? Just kind of across there. And I saw a Marsha Blackburn commercial where she's just throwing plates that have the China flag on it. I thought that was really strange. What is she going to do about anything? She's not going to do anything about Florida. Anyways, man, and so all this to say, then we've got The Undertaker. The Undertaker now has Donald Trump on his podcast. And Kane. Two pillars of known intelligence. And then you have Mick Foley cutting a promo for Kamala. It is a wild time to be... Mick Foley, obviously, I trust him. Super great guy. But my dude's been thrown off of a cage, hit with barbed wire, blown up, all stuff. Look, man, I love Mick. But I don't need to know what his opinion is on politics. He shouldn't sway my vote. Same with Undertaker. I just don't understand why they use their platforms for that. It's such a divisive thing no matter what you do, right? Because when they tell you to vote one way, they're like, we're doing this for the good. And then the other side's like, we're doing this so it doesn't get worse. And I'm just like, man, tell me about how you got hit with a chair in Germany again. I don't give a shit about your opinions on politics, and I just really don't understand it. And maybe that's just me because I'm not political, and I don't understand. But the fact that we have candidates going on like wrestling podcasts is pretty crazy to me. And we're listening to Batista and Mick Foley tell us. I am just so baffled. Celebrities don't live the same life we lead. Obviously, they're in different tax brackets. Their lives are genuinely not affected the same way that obviously the lower classes are, and for lack of a better term, right? Lower class in the sense of middle class, not the 1%ers or even 10%ers that Mick Foley and Undertaker probably are. So pretty crazy that happened too, man. I'd love to know your guys' feedback. Are you basing your vote on Batista and Mick Foley or Taker and Kane? That's what I want to know. Or would you rather see them go in a tag team match one more time, Hell in a Cell maybe, Loser has to vote for the other person's party. That's what I said in the chat. I thought that'd be great. We could do it at Saudi. The princes would pay for it. Let's make it happen. We can book this today. I don't see why not. But, man, wrestlers and politicians, what a time to be alive. Who I never would have thought. But as my friend Michael says, we are living in a simulation. So, pretty crazy. Last headline, I should say, is there's a new Vince case. TKO, folks, and Linda and Vince, and over Mel Phillips. And if you don't know, obviously, do your research, look it up. Don't base it on what you're seeing out there, but look it up. Look up the articles that are out there, the affidavits and stuff like that. Or I shouldn't say affidavits, but the indictments and all those things. I think it's an indictment. I don't know how that works. Whatever the form is, the actual official form. But it is a crazy thing that happens. Obviously, you see it with Diddy and these other things where it just never is. It doesn't ever get better. No one ever comes out and is like, man, you know what? Vince was a really great guy, and he looked out for me when I was being abused. Or you never see that. It just piles on in the sense of like on and on and on. It's like it was perpetuated for a long time there, and you hate to see that, and you hate to see the victims go through that again. Obviously, it's an alleged thing until proven guilty, but it's a sad deal, man, because that's a black eye on wrestling forever. And people are just like, oh, that fake shit where they did that. It's like, man, you hate to hear that because obviously wrestling right now is thriving, and maybe that's why they're coming. I don't know. We don't know. But my whole point to this was, it's crazy what's happened to Vince as a whole. So it's wild to me that this all came out and this happened in such a wild thing. So sad tarnishing on someone's legacy, and you hate to see it. Honestly, it's. I saw somebody on a podcast today say it's literally so easy to not be a piece of shit and not be a pedophile, and I was like, damn, okay, he's pretty right, pretty accurate statement. So it's crazy to see all that shit happen, man. And you hate that, like I said, all of this just a really bad black eye on pro wrestling. But I don't like to get into it. But I thought those two things, man, the politics of that, there's really just like so much happening in wrestling right now, and so many people ask me about that. Like my friends who don't watch wrestling, obviously, like ask me about it. I'm just like, yeah, man, it's crazy. But back to wrestling. How about Jey Uso? Main event Jey Uso. Furthering the Survivor Series plotline by losing the title to Braun Breaker via Solo, Jacob, Tama, and Tangaloa. Raw, man. I'm just going to say it. Raw, 2 hours, banging. Hammer time. I enjoyed it. Thought it was great. The women's tag match stuff was awesome. Obviously, the Carlito line was shit. Not being soft, it just sucked. Like, he could have said the Japanese thing and it would have actually been funny. I saw a tweet about that too, and I was like, that's a great point. If he would have just said that would have been a lot funnier, and it could have been something like fun. You could have done a segment about it, whatever, like an R-Truth type thing, if that's really what his character is. But outside of that, Raw was great. And Jey Uso and Braun, that was a great main event. I thought that the ticket thing was kind of funny. I saw a lot of people pointing out SmackDown versus Raw 2011. That cut scene where Rey Mysterio, there's like a cut scene and Rey Mysterio shows up with 2 front row tickets. So pretty crazy. But main event Jey Uso, I hated to see him lose his title already. But what a great way to continue the storyline, right? Obviously now we don't know what side he's siding with, because obviously he doesn't like Jacob Fatu, but Solo saved him from the Braun Spear. So there's that inner dialogue with himself trying to figure that out as to what side he's going to choose. Obviously I think he's going to go with Roman, but it's a pretty interesting storyline how that works. So you kind of love you love to see it. And like I said, Raw 2 hours, banging. Thought it was great. Appreciated it being done by 9 o'clock here Central Time, man. I could fast forward through. I mean, I could watch it in like an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20 minutes, because commercials and everything you can skip around. So really, really great stuff. And I'm excited about Raw continuing to move 2 hours when it moves to Netflix. Okay, so I've been on my soapbox a little bit here, but I am. This question came up to me today, and I wanted to ask kind of the viewers or the listeners. If you are listening, let me know. Text me if you're, or comment on the post or comment on the videos or whatever. But what is worse, dirt sheet writers, wrestling journalists, the dirt sheet people, not the journalists, the ones actually writing the articles, but the dirt sheets, right? Or the wrestling Twitter people? I think that I've had this internal thing with me where I'm like, man, SRS is like my least favorite person on Twitter because he can't decide if he wants to be a heel or a babyface. He's in there, he like the things he says, I don't really, he just like, he stands up for one thing and then he does the same exact thing. But then you see on Twitter, you see all these people that are like share stuff like they wrote it, right? And then it's like, oh, via PW Insider or via dirt, Juan Radio, and this. I'm like, damn, dude, what is like? And it is constant. It's retweeted or it shows up on the time. It doesn't matter if I unfollow or block one. I'm gonna see the same thing 37 times. It's unfortunate because I don't know who originally wrote it, and they all suck. I just don't understand what you get out of the dirt sheet thing. I don't get that. Like, what do you gain from that? What is the value in a dirt sheet? Tell me what I need to legitimately understand. What is the dirt sheet? Does it make you feel a part of the business? Like as a viewer, as a reader, I would love to know Conrad's theory as to why, because he's been a Meltzer guy forever, right? And I just love to know what's the reasoning behind that. Because I just don't. Maybe it's the wanting to know the inside baseball thing. I just don't know that I never got it. I'm a huge Michigan fan, right? Obviously. Huge Michigan fan, huge Cubs fan, huge Seahawks fan, and huge Thunder fan. I was a Sonics fan as a kid, let me bring that up. But huge Thunder fan because when they moved. But I don't go on these forums where these people like talk about the inside like I knew a janitor and the janitor picked up this letter off the office of the desk of the GM and they this is what they're looking for. And I just don't get it. Like, do we not? I feel like I already have enough tension with enjoying some things and hating it that like it just fuels my hatred for those people. And maybe it's like, you know what? I'm going to stand up for why it sucks. That's what I'm going to do because these people are idiots on the internet. I'm going to stand up for that. And maybe that's what it is for me. I don't know. I'm having a hard time with it though. I want to know your guys' thoughts. What do you think is worse? The Twitter people who think they're part of the business? Or the dirt sheet writers who think they're part of the business? Which is worse? For me, like I said, I think it's got to be the dirt sheet writers. Because the Twitter people are just like, basement dwellers. The whole thing this stemmed from today was JD from NY. Obviously, you can't see, there's a million clips online, but the people said things that didn't happen in 2024, Alex. And it was like him saying that someone went to an AEW show with his merch on and got asked to change the shirt. And I was just like, no. And obviously things that didn't happen. And it really just made me laugh because I'm like, man, this guy really wants to put himself over. He really wants to put himself over. And I saw Will Washington respond and was like, this absolutely didn't happen. Second off, I didn't even know JD from NY merch existed. So it's just hilarious, like the hilarity of the Twitter fodder of like, it's almost like they think they're influencers, but how do you influence the basement dwellers? I don't know. Man, I love pro wrestling. And so it's like, I try to not live in nostalgia of how it used to be or anything like that. I love how it is now. And I love that it's changed and I love the old stuff too. And so like, I'm just a fan of all of it. And I do get on here on my podcast and talk about stuff that I don't like, that I think is dumb, but that doesn't mean like it's not good. It could be good to someone else. It's all subjective. The problem is that these people spew it like it's fact. That's my issue, is that your opinion is never fact. It's just an opinion. So yeah, man, let me know. Let me know what you guys are thinking. That was my shtick for that. That was my soapbox. As we come up to the end of the episode, it's a short one today. Like I said, it's just me. Looking forward. Next week, obviously, is Crown Jewel, and that should be exciting. Bound for Glory, though, is this weekend, and I'm excited about Nick Nemeth versus Joe Hendry. There's a lot of cool things happening in TNA right now. I look forward to some of that stuff and them continuing to see how they build and Last week, also Maple Leaf Wrestling, Maple Leaf Pro. I saw some clips of that. The Takeshita thing with Speedball. Holy shit. That was awesome. Mauro Ranallo. Mamma Mia, back on the mic. That was awesome. So I think a lot of cool things. If you don't love wrestling right now, or if you make money being a internet troll, cool, man. Good for you for your couple cents or whatever. And your, if you get paid for that, that's get your money, I guess. But man, if you don't love pro wrestling right now, you're never gonna love it. There is no. It is not that it's better than it used to be. It's different than it used to be, but it's awesome all the way around, man. I love. And if you don't love it right now, I just don't think you're ever gonna love it. I mean, look at the money we're spending, like I said, on WrestleMania tickets. So if you don't love it right now, you're never gonna love it. And we're living in the gold. This is the new era of professional wrestling, and everybody's making money. There's more content for everybody to watch. There's more wrestling to see. There's more wrestlers to see. A lot of things, man. And AEW just got their new deal, and I'm looking forward to how they continue to expand. I'm looking forward to how TNA expands, and just all around good things, pro wrestling. And I'm looking forward to those great Muta figures coming out. I saw a tease that pre-order on Ringside Collectibles was coming out soon, so I'm super pumped about that. I hope to find one of the chases in the wild. I think that would be really cool. Unfortunately, the wrestling around here, the figure market here is not great in Nashville, but maybe I'll find it. We'll see. All that, though, man, it's just at the PJ North today, going around the mat. Again, hit that like and subscribe button if you're watching. Follow us along on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all those things. We'd love to interact with you guys. Let me know that you liked the episode. We're getting views here on Twitch, which really is cool, man. I do appreciate people checking it out on Twitch. It's not a ton, but for me, it's just cool to be able to talk wrestling and people liking it. But I would love to know who's watching. Let me know where you're watching from, all that stuff. And until next time, when we go around the mat.